Hello and welcome into See You Next Tuesday. We have Alexa. And I looked at your name at least 100 times before we started this, and I was like, I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna call her Bob. I'm just gonna completely mess up. So we met just a few weeks ago. We were supposed to meet 2 years ago when you DM'd me originally, and you were like, Katie, I have this question for you. Now, I just want to read the question. I took a screenshot of it last night while I was getting high in bed, of course, and it read, now, tell me why I took a photo of your response and not the original. Probably because I was getting high in bed. That's what we'll do. Okay, I'm just going to scroll up real quick because we talked a lot. Here we go. I guess I don't really have one specific question, but I'm a 25-year-old virgin, and I've never intended for that to happen. But I think the thought of telling a guy that I'm a virgin scares me out of just having a one-night stand and getting it over with like I'd like to. But I don't want to just not tell him and make him feel intimidated the whole time. Any advice? Okay. I have a lot of questions first before I even get to the answer. So you're like, I didn't intend for it to be this way. So, like, have there been instances where, like, okay, there's so
yeah, where to start? That's the real question.
Were you religious as a kid?
No.
Okay. So there was nothing, like, no guilt stopping you from, like, having teen sex like we all did.
I never even got a sex talk or anything like that. So it was kind of like, just do whatever you're going to do and whatever. So, no.
Were there times in, like, high school or times that you've been with guys and you're like, we're going to do it, and then it just doesn't happen?
Just once. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But I think, honestly, like, of course, you know, through therapy and whatnot, you kind of understand, like, oh, this probably could have happened, but in my upbringing, there was just, like, a lot of body shaming and everything like that. So I think it's more of an internalized, like, my mother and grandmother said, hey, guys are only going to like you if you're, like, so thin. And I think it's kind of a, oh, you're not thin, so don't go down that road, because then it's like you're embarrassed, basically. So I think I self-sabotage to avoid that happening because I'm embarrassed, you know?
Well, let me just say, like, you're beautiful no matter what fucking anything. And, like, I'm so... because I literally filmed a video of me doing my makeup and had a breakdown in the middle of it because I was like, I'm not pretty. I'm not skinny anymore. Like, people always used to say to me, like, your face is so clear and you're so thin. They don't say it anymore. So it's like, I feel you. And social media and Instagram, like, makes me feel like I'm supposed to have, like, a perfect figure and, like, the Kim Kardashians and the Kylie Jenners and whatever. Bitch, you beautiful. And let me tell you, guys don't care. You have holes.
Yeah.
They want to enter them. You good.
I could be dead and they'd still want it.
Fortunately, it's another podcast topic.
It's real fun when you start to become 25 and then all the thin girls in high school are getting fat and you're like, see, now you know what it's like. Like, oh,
catching
now
up to ya. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So what would you say your type is when you're talking to guys? Like, do you have a type?
European, yes.
Oh. And
if they have an accent, it's like, you can be a 2 and you're an 8 because you have an accent. That's my, okay. This, again, there's a lot of backstory. In high school, every dude I liked in high school is gay. I mean, they were gay at the time, but they weren't out. But I was like, every single one of them. That's how I met my best friend. Is she was dating a guy that I was in love with, and now Gary works on a cruise. So so it's a real pattern of, I'm like, I think I'm just into guys who are more metrosexual, honestly, because they're not, like, intimidating and scary.
Just like, I'm like, oh my God, I like your clothes and your nails are painted. Did you want to make out? And they're like, oh, so
honey.
I'm gay. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, well, never mind then.
Like all of my
So
best gay friends, I at some point went to, Sadie Hawkins with them or something and thought
I
we were going to end up together.
I feel like now in 2020 you just never know, because then you have like straight guys who also like paint their nails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like, I don't know. I'm into
I'm
right
into
now,
it.
like a really like a grungy moment, like I don't know that grungy is the right word. That might be rude. Like a tattooed
Yes.
moment, just like maybe like a small gothic I don't even know. I don't even know what's happening.
It's a
But
tattooed British man for me. That's
ooh, I'm
that's who.
usually like what are they called? I'm forgetting the hipsters. I
Oh,
like a more gothic hipster.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't like it. I'm not looking for this anymore. I'm done with it. So you never planned on not like it was never like I'm not gonna have sex. So
No,
at this
that's
point you're really like you're ready, right?
yeah. And see, that's like hindsight. I'm like, oh, in high school I was not mature enough to be doing anything. So
None of
it's
us were.
but then I'm like, what if I'm 35 and I'm like, oh, 25 was also not the year.
I mean, I feel like there's different options you can take. I feel like there's the lane of like dating some, but like you go on like a few dates and then like I don't know. Because it's like
Yeah,
you could tell them like you go on 3 dates and like when you're making out and stuff. Is that a boner killer to be like, hey, BT dubs, I'm a virgin? But then again, like I feel like some guys are like, haha, I'm gonna get her virginity.
the
But
problem.
it's
Yeah,
not
I
high
was like,
school
I'm
anymore.
offended when people don't want to sleep with me, and I'm offended when they do.
I
So
I get the not wanting to, because like let's say some guy comes to me and he's like, I'm a virgin. I'm gonna be like, I don't want to. What if
yeah, I
like
think it's different for guys too. Like,
yeah, but I think I mean, hopefully if they're nice guys, they're afraid that like they're maybe they're afraid that you're going to get attached immediately
yeah,
and that's why. Um
yeah. But I'm like, I'll do that without the sex either way. So either way, I'm getting attached.
have you ever told someone?
Yeah. So the problem is that because I'm attracted to the European ones, when they
Mm,
come flying through Vegas on Tinder, I meet
mm,
them and then we have an online relationship
I see.
that doesn't have anything to do with in-person sex.
So, I mean, you can always like how are you meet them when they come in? Like you
No,
have like a coffee
this
date or
has all
something?
been online. No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they like come in, they're in town, you
Yeah.
swipe on them,
And
and
then
then
they
they
leave.
leave.
And
Okay, so
that's
we need a
another,
quicker turnaround. We need just
yeah,
a quicker, like, get them into the bar faster.
apparently. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You did send me a bunch of your tweets, though, because, or not your tweets, your Bumble and Tinder
Uh-huh.
messages. Your responses had me fucking down. I'm not even this clever when I'm on these dating apps. Like, the way that you responded with jokes to all their shit was incredible. Like, so good. It was amazing. So I feel like you would have absolutely no issue, on a first date just being like, by the way, I'm a virgin, but why don't you go ahead and take it? But
Yeah. No, I only went on one date, honestly, in person, and my best friend was there. It wasn't supposed to be a date. I was downtown, and some guy wanted to meet up, and I was like, oh, whatever. It
yeah,
was very casual, and he was like an idiot, so that's not even worth telling him that, obviously.
right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Anytime there's been like a hookup potential, let's just say I ended up butt naked in a bed with a man who was also butt naked in a bed, and we didn't even high five. Like, that's how skilled I am at staying.
Just grab the penis.
I was like, I don't need to be accused of anything right now.
Okay, maybe don't grab. Ask before we grab. Excuse me.
Yeah, but in hindsight, he owns an avocado print romper, so in hindsight, I'm like, probably not the one.
Avocado print romper. Maybe he just batted for the other team, which is why he never
doesn't, because my best friend flew to Australia the month after and fucked him.
Do we talk to this friend still?
Yeah, because I didn't like him, it was just
Okay.
just some potential hookup stuff.
But confirmed that he didn't bat for the other team. There's also the option of just like not telling them. But okay. If I had sex with some guy and then afterwards he was like, I was a virgin and now I'm not, I'd probably fucking high five him. I'd be like, bro. Yeah. But I think before I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. It's like, I don't want, because everyone would obviously assume I'm not, and then I don't want it to get too scary.
I think if I were you, I would just do it and not tell them.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I feel like I'm giving awful advice. But because I feel like you're afraid of them being like, no, I don't want to do it. Maybe you just try.
Yeah, it's the fear of rejection that'll really do it for you.
I have homework for you.
Okay.
Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna go on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, and you're gonna swipe on a bunch of guys, and you're gonna start a conversation, and then you're just gonna tell them, and we're gonna see all the different reactions that we get, and then based on that, maybe we can make a better decision on how we should go about it.
Well, I mean, I didn't do that necessarily, but it was really weird. I gave this waiter at the Cheesecake Factory my number like 4 years ago, and then I found him on Tinder, and I was like, Spencer, I know you. And he was like, oh, how? And I told him, and then he was like, oh, whatever. We got started talking, and then I said that. I was like, yeah, well, I'm not coming over for a hookup, like I'm a virgin. And that was like his mission to convince me I needed to lose my virginity to him. Like, it became so douchey so fast.
I think that's what you might run into with a lot of them.
That's why I don't want to tell people, because I'm like, then I don't want you to like be fake nice to me just to be like, oh, I'm gonna get this done.
Now, after, let's say you do the sex and you didn't tell them, would you tell them, or would you just like put on your pants and leave?
I mean, if it was a one-night stand, no. If we got into a relationship, then yeah.
Do you think that you would regret having a one-night stand?
I don't want to trap anyone into that either, though.
No, but like, do you think that you'll be like, man, I wish that I hadn't lost my virginity to somebody that I'm never going to speak again? Or do you think you're going to be like, woo, rip the Band-Aid off, now I can actually do it?
I'm so like bipolar that some days I'm like, this could happen and I wouldn't even care. And then other days I'm like, well, what if I met someone and I'd be like, man, I really wish I waited while I was with someone I loved,
I haven't had that thought.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
so glad. This is perfect timing, because this morning I had my first ever pap smear.
Wait, I didn't know it was your first one.
Yeah, they tend to not care when you're a virgin about STDs and whatnot.
But I don't know, you still got to make sure them cells be good.
Well, apparently at 25, that's when they start caring about cancer. So I found out today.
Did you know going into the gyno what was going to happen?
No, because I went into a completely different service, and I came out with not that and a pap smear.
So you had no idea they were going to put in the things and then put stuff inside you?
Again, alarming. I am numb from the waist down, apparently, because it was so not traumatic. I don't know. What? I was like, maybe they have a different technique for virgins, but it was less traumatic than like putting in a tampon. So I don't know.
I hate tampons. I can't even start with that. But like, I mean, pap smears,
much more.
They're like really quick, but at the same time, I just hate them because it's like they put the stuff and then they're like, and she's like, all right, and then she like pokes in deep into my uterus, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
and then,
I didn't feel a thing, so I'm very scared.
Did she massage the boob?
Okay, again, yes, but funnily enough, I have a tattoo square in the middle of my chest and my nipples pierced. So trying to look at this gynecologist in the face and go, I am a virgin, ma'am, and she looks at me like I'm the spawn of Satan is hilarious also, because she thinks I'm lying to her.
Dude, what's the tattoo? Is it like, I want to fuck you?
Come here? Yeah.
An arrow pointing down.
Yeah, at this point. I was like, who am I trying to
Jesus on the cross.
Jesus.
This is like daddy or some shit.
Well, the nurses are always, I'm like, no one shames me more about this than nurses and doctors.
Like
yeah.
I will never forget my first pap smear experience. I'm sure did I say pap smear right, or did I say smap peer?
I like it better that way.
In my head, it came out wrong. Yesterday, I think I had 70 strokes because every time I tried to talk, nothing was coming out right. So I was like, did I say it right? But the first time I went to get a pap smear, I had no idea what was happening. I was like 14 years old, and because my periods were so bad that I was like in the hospital, like vomiting, shitting, like the whole thing. They were like, you should get on some birth control. And I was like, okay. So I go to the gyno just thinking they're going to be like, here you go. And then I go in the room, and then they do the like, and they swipe me. And then after, he was like, yeah, we're going to give you an HPV shot. And I was like, this is a doozy of a doctor's appointment, I'll tell you what. And so they give me the shot, and I'm like, okay, get up, I'm on my way. Okay, this is my new hand thing, and I can't stand it. I saw it last episode. It's all the time. I'm sorry, everybody. Just gonna put my hands down. So I get up and I go outside, and I'm like, I feel a little bit weird, and I'm talking to the nurse, and all of a sudden, like, white starts happening. I'm like, I can't see nothing. And then like the tingles and like everywhere, and then like I start going numb, and I was like, this is a new feeling.
After?
This was after.
Oh.
And then I woke up to my mom being like, Katie, Katie. I was like, what? And she was like, did you just pass out? And I was like, no. And she's like, then why are you laying on the ground? And then I like came to, and I was like, oh my God. And I like got up, and like I went to the same gynecologist for years after that, and every time I went back, they were like, you're the girl that passed out. I'm like, oh, you're making fun of me. I'm sorry. It was terrifying. And then they're every time after a pass, they're like, just lay here so you don't faint again.
I have the same gynecologist since I was a child, but she has no clue who I am, obviously. Every time I go in there, she put me on birth control at like 15.
Yeah.
And for like hormonal reasons. And then
they
now
every time
I have to, what?
They didn't smear you?
No. Because I wasn't sexually active. So they didn't care, I guess.
Neither was I, but they smeared shit at me.
That would be very traumatic at 14, I think. That's not, yeah.
Well,
same with a penis.
He birthed me. So he like pulled me out of my mom or whatever. And then I was like 17 or 18, and I asked him some kind of sex question. And his response was, if you keep your legs closed, you don't have to worry about it. And I was like, oh, but I'm not. So can you answer my question? And he never did.
I'm proof that you'll be worried no matter what you're doing. But trying to explain to the nurse, being like, oh, so if I'm not sexually active, do I need the chlamydia test? And they're like, what do you mean not sexually active? And I'm like ever. They're like, then no.
Every time I go in, they're like, you don't have it. And I'm like, swipe me. Like, you don't have it. And I'm like, swab me.
Well, I got to hear a phone call of them and them calling a girl and going, so Crystal, we got your results back, and yes, you do have gonorrhea. In the hallway. So, Crystal, what if it's a pandemic? What have you been up to, Crystal?
At least it's not COVID.
Yeah, she probably has that too.
You want the clap or you want COVID? Pick one.
Whatever penicillin can cure.
You know what's funny is like in sex ed and when you're a kid, like STDs are the end all be all. And then come to find out, an antibiotic really pretty much gets rid of all those. And I'm like,
but herpes, and you can live with herpes too.
Why didn't they tell you, like, yeah, this stuff is bad and you really want to avoid it, but if it happens, your vagina won't fall off.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I assume, like, oh, well then, like, she's done. It's a goner. But, like, no, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
everybody
told in
uses
8th grade
condoms.
that if you have anal sex, a sperm is definitely going to crawl out of your butt and into your vagina, and you're going to get pregnant. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
Those sphincters are so tight. I don't think the sperm could crawl back out. I think it would be dead.
While we're on the topic of sperm, that's part of my job. I deal a lot with sperm from animals because Jack told you I have to jerk off horses as part of my job. Well, my old job.
So, what does one do to jack a horse off? No, I'm not asking for the steps yet. I'm asking what was the job title?
I'm a veterinary technician.
And
a horse practice.
Do horses need relief?
No, to breed the female, you must jerk off the male. That's how you do it.
Wait. I like that.
It's not for, like, fun.
Like, maybe they get stressed and they get jacked off. Okay, wait. So,
medical.
Why aren't they just having sex?
You can do that too, but it's safer to do it that way so the other horse doesn't get hurt.
Who's the other horse?
The female.
Why is she getting hurt?
He has to jump on top of her.
Oh, sweetie. Okay. All right. So you just
There's a lot of medicine that goes into it. It's not as simple as it sounds, but I deal with a lot of horse semen, and trying to explain that to men who are not mature.
I can hardly even handle. I'm like, what do you do? Just like show it a nipple and fucking get it? Like, I'm like.
It's called teasing, funnily enough. You take the female and do a little parade and get him real amped up. It's borderline trafficking.
It's like porn. It's like porn for horses.
Well, sometimes when they're like really shy, I'm like directing a porn scene. I'm like, do another circle, show her off, come on, wink at him. Like, it gets really borderline offensive.
So then, do you have to quite literally jack off the animal then?
It's like a giant, you fill this thing with warm water. It's like a giant pocket pussy, and that's what you use with a cup at the end. But the thing is, when it's happening, it's so scary because they're like really scary animals and they're large that it's not funny at all. You're just trying not to get like murdered. Like, I've been kicked in the face twice while doing this.
At what point do you decide maybe this
that you should go back to school? It's after 3 years when you say, I think I'll stay in the classroom. Thank you. Yeah.
I can't believe this is amazing. Honestly, no wonder you don't want to have sex. If I was off horses, I wouldn't want to have sex either.
Yeah, I was like, any penis I see is going to be very underwhelming at this point.
Do horses have massive penises?
Yeah, like, think a forearm kind of deal.
I don't know that I want to. Okay, so we've covered horse jacking, gynecologists. Okay, I wrote questions down. I want to make sure that I got to all of them in our convo. I just opened the calculators if that's going to help. Do you have any like hang-ups or blocks on it other than the horse penises?
No. I try to keep that part separate.
I feel that.
No, I have questions. Yeah.
No. Like, do you have any? These are for you. Do you have any hang-ups or blocks on like wanting to have sex?
Yeah. Just because I'm overweight, I feel like that's my biggest hang-up of being like embarrassed.
Don't be. I'm gonna send you some photos later of some hot girls at any fucking size, and you're gonna be like, yes! Love yourself. It's so hard to do though.
It is, yeah.
I'm like holding my fat in the mirror and I'm like, I love you. I love you. And I'm like, fucking son of a bitch. I'm gonna go eat a pizza. Do you feel like you missed a magic window that you were supposed to do it
Yes.
in?
Okay, I
When
was
do
a
you think it
Division
was?
1 athlete. I thought that would be the end all be all.
Wait, you said what about an athlete?
I was a Division 1 athlete. So unfortunately, all the other Division 1 athletes are very thin, and the baseball team tends to fuck them.
Got it.
So I was friends with all the popular hot guys, but I was the bro that showed up, you know, at the party and had the obnoxious laugh and would just drive people places.
Oh no!
But I was like, I'm gonna be so cool. This is gonna be great. It wasn't.
But the girl in the movie that is that, she ends up being real cool. So we're good because it's the end of the movie and she's really cool.
That's what I was like, I'm not the quiet, when we're at a party, I'm not the quiet one in the corner being like, I wonder if anyone's noticing me. I'm screaming in the middle of the room being like, notice me. That's probably off-putting.
And I think that that's just fine. Have you ever had an orgasm?
Yes.
So you masturbate?
Yes.
Thank God.
Well, that's okay. Again, on the women shame me more than men do, because they're like, half of my friends are like, oh, when they're talking about their sex lives, they assume, they're like, oh, she doesn't know any of that. I'm like, you get to know yourself real well after 25 years of no one touching you.
Well, I think, yes. I think that for a lot of girls who, like, don't have sex, it's because of, like, God or what have you. And then that comes, like, no, don't touch yourself because that's wrong. But because yours was just, like, a fluke and it just happened, I think that you're more, like, okay, wait. So do you, like, do you suck dick?
No.
So you haven't sucked a dick yet?
No.
Okay. Have you been eating out or any? So no, like.
I have made out with 2 people.
Okay. Are you intimidated by sucking a dick?
No.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I
want that dick.
I would be a slut if anyone would give me the time of day.
I liked that you said I'm the sluttiest. You said I'm the sluttiest virgin you'll ever talk to, and I loved that.
You get to hone your sexting skills when you're not doing anything else.
I'm just happy you've had an orgasm, because
I know
could live without
people who
sex.
are married that still have never masturbated a day in their life.
Right? Or that have, like, never come.
Yeah.
Like, I have had girlfriends who have been in, like, long-term relationships, and she's like, I don't think I've had one. And I'm like, you would know. Oh, hello? Are you still there?
Yes.
Can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay, my dad is calling me. And
get him on the line!
The video went away, and I don't, back to meeting. Here we are. Told him, call me Tuesday. Okay, I have been meaning to call my dad. I can't remember for shit. I talk to my mom twice a day, and every time I talk to her, I'm like, I talk to the family. No, bitch, you only talk to your mom. So I'm always like, I need to call my dad, but then it's, like, too late when I remember it. So I told him yesterday, because he came on FaceTime with my mom, I was like, call me tomorrow. I was like, no. Don't call me tomorrow. Call me Tuesday. He called me today. And that's what happened. But we're still.
Well, I listen to their podcast too. They're not up to anything important.
No. So you do masturbate. That's good. You have had do you watch porn?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have, like, a go-to category?
No, it really just depends on the day.
Would you say that
it's like a YouTube rabbit hole. Once you start on something, you're like, maybe.
I just found a section of porn I haven't been to before. It's like, so the title of the video was, he can come how many times? And I was like, I don't know. Well, let's find out.
I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to watch. So she's, like, performing this, like, massage on his penis, right? This, like, intricate massage. But she keeps, like, stopping once it looks like it gets really good. Yeah, so I think it's like an edging, milking situation, because I didn't know about milking either, but apparently that's a thing too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But then she's, like, going, right? And then she just starts, like, slapping his balls. And I'm like,
oh, no.
Oh, what? And she's just like, and he's like, oh, and, like, his dick, like, moves. And I'm like, is everybody okay in the video? We good? Like, I'm like, wait, what? So this is the new stuff I've come across where I'm like, this is very interesting to me.
There is way too much female like ASMR for men, but not enough the other way around. Men for women, that does not include the word daddy and baby girl. And I said, can we just be adults right now? That would be great.
The other thing too that I've noticed is every time I get on, the entire homepage is like, stepmom fuck stepson.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
can it just be the neighbor?
Yeah, like that would be fine. I'm fine, but like I don't this is one of the times where I don't want to keep it in the family. Like this is the moment that I'm not looking to think about that.
Like
right
my
now.
mom and I can have the same gynecologist, but
Exactly. That's fine. But, not the same boyfriend,
Well, porn is made for men, and that's apparently what's
why do they want to fuck their stepsisters?
Or
do
their
they need,
children?
they need therapy? Like, what's going on? And I mean, I get it. It's like, they're not
taboo. That's why.
So it's like, ooh, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like anal. Like I don't know. They have a fascination with anal as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the porn, man. It's a time. There's a lot.
Well, I think. When did you start masturbating?
Well, I remember the first time it happened, and it was an accident. Like the first time I had an orgasm, I was in the jacuzzi, and I was like swimming around, and then like I stopped in front of the jet or something, and I was like, this feels amazing. And then I just like sat there, and like it's whatever happened, and I was like, hello? Yeah. That was great. Let's do that again.
It was like wrong, or like you shouldn't be doing it. Did you have guilt around it?
Yeah. Well, and considering I'm like in the jacuzzi at like 11 or 12, like not, because you don't really know what's happening, but
But I wonder how not to like talk about it or something,
What do you mean? Like how I didn't run to my parents?
Tell my mom that,
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's just like in like human instinct, like with
keep
animals.
It to yourself.
Yeah, like I don't know, with animals, like they know to like eat and have sex. So like that's me turning into like I don't even know. But yeah, no, there is no like I didn't run to my mom and be like, this wild thing happened.
I like knew, I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be doing this for some reason. Like I'm not gonna tell my mom about it.
There was a bit of that. Yeah. And
but also on that note, I was thinking, like my friends and I, like, I mean, for the most part, we're like, we know people are doing things, but we don't talk about it that much. But when it does come up, it's like one step further, everyone says like, well, I do this. And then you're like, oh, thank God you said that, because now I can say this. Yeah. But where was I going with that? I was like, why is it so taboo to talk about like masturbating? You wouldn't be like, I'm going to call my friend and say, like, she's like, what were you just doing? And you go, oh, I just got like a great deep tissue massage. Like that's totally fine to say, but you can't be like, oh, I had a different thing I was doing. I mean, I wouldn't talk about it all the time, but I don't know why it's so shameful.
I mean, I think when you're young, it comes from like not knowing. But now, like if my friend calls me and I didn't answer, I was like, sorry, I just came 5 times. I got the snail trail. Let me go wipe up and I'll call you back. Like, I don't give up.
These are the exception to the rule.
Yeah. But yeah, because I really don't care. Like, I'll tell anybody, I'll scream it, like, I masturbated! Like, my whole building knows. Like, they probably hear me masturbating for all Dude, one time, like, my bathroom window was open and I was watching something and, like, the porn, and she was like, yeah! And I was like, and I, like, sort of, like, turning it down. I'm like, oh, I don't want my neighbors to know I'm fucking, like, I wonder if, like...
roommates gets interesting.
Because I bet. Because sometimes, like, my upstairs neighbor, I can hear his, like, phone vibrate. And I'm like, well, if I can hear his phone vibrate, can you hear my vibrator vibrating?
Okay, yeah. Well, my friends bought me one that was, like, quiet, and when she was holding it, you couldn't hear it. But now I'm, like, when I'm touching it, I can hear it. So now I don't know what's true and what's not.
I always wondered, like...
I have a jackhammer in here.
Can you hear my vibrator from, like, the other room? I wonder. Well, I guess if you can hear my electric toothbrush, you can probably hear my vibrator. Yikes.
I guess we'll find out when I go back to school.
What word do you think of when you hear the word sex?
Unknown.
Unknown
I just feel like I've
territory.
experienced so much in my life that that's like the one box I haven't ticked.
I
And
mean,
I hate missing out on things.
you've jacked off horses, something a lot
Right?
of people haven't done. So you're further in life than most, but
Yeah.
behind in some areas. But it doesn't matter. Like I shared a meme the other day that was like, stop shaming people for having too much sex, having too little sex, having babies, not having babies, getting abortions, doing this. Let girls do whatever they want to do in their own time. Just because you like to raw dog it in the ass doesn't mean that Sally likes to as well. Leave it, you can share your experiences, but don't be shaming. Don't be
Yeah.
shaming. That's just
Yeah.
my,
The one friend who doesn't masturbate was like, well, Alexis never had an orgasm. I was like, I probably have way more orgasms than you ever.
just
They're
because I have
probably
sex
better.
doesn't mean I'm not coming.
Yeah.
What do you think sex is going to be like? What do you think it's going to feel like? What are you anticipating?
I guess let me ask you a question that goes along with that.
Okay.
I was like, I don't even know if I should be. I'm not scared. Like I'm ready mentally, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I'm also ready physically, because I'm like, should I even be scared if I've used a dildo before? Like,
No, you're good.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, that can't be.
It feels completely different.
See, I'm thinking it's gonna feel better. That's why
oh my God, it's
I'm
so
not
much
scared.
better.
I've already
Yeah.
had something in me, so it's not even like a hold up that way.
Right. It's not going to be a matter of like, oh, my vagina's stretching and I'm bleeding
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's
Because you
not
had
my
a dildo in you, so I'm sure that's not going to be it's just going to be, you're just going to have a lot of thoughts, I feel like, going through your head of like, holy shit, there's a dick in me.
Yeah.
And like, you'll just be like, oh my God.
That's why I think I'm just gonna get overwhelmed and start crying or something emotionally, not like physical pain, just like I don't know what's happening.
No, let's hope you don't cry. I've never cried on a dick, but I also just got dumped, and I'm afraid that if I have sex with somebody else, that I'm gonna be like sucking his dick and like crying because it's not the dick that I was used to.
When she pierced my nipples, she said, "Did that hurt?" I said, "I don't feel anything anymore. I think I'm just numb now."
My body is numb.
You could just punch me in the face right now.
Yeah. And I think that we have now reached all the questions that I had written down for you. I had you make questions to ask me because I've never had anybody ask me questions.
Yeah, well, so we tackled the dildo.
Which I'm not really a big dildo user just because it feels so different than actual sex, because it just kind of feels like shoving something hard and jelly like up there. Like as nice as it is, it's just because like most girls don't come from just like penetration, and I'm one of those, so it's like whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot. I don't know.
It is a lot.
Yeah, one of them was, do you think virgins attract creeps? Do they pretend to be nice so they can take your virginity?
Honestly, probably yes. Because I think, not that I think that like if you put that on your Tinder bio or on your Bumble bio, it would attract a certain type of guy for sure. Like you would, and they'd all look the same and the whole thing. Like, yes, I definitely think that there is the type of guy who like is trying, I think, because I think for a guy, every guy wants to have somebody's like virginity for some reason. And like when I lost, this was high school though, but when I lost my virginity in high school, I walked into the theater like a day or two after, and the guy that I had lost my virginity to was talking to bleachers full of people in the theater and telling them about his experience about taking my virginity. And it was like a damn movie. And I like stopped and I was like listening in to hear what he was saying. And he was like literally just talking about it in detail. And he was like, yeah, I never really even fucking liked her. I just wanted to take her virginity so I could know what it was like. And then I
was he a virgin too?
No. And then I walked in to like, maybe like he would stop because I was there, and he fucking Katie Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. And then everybody clapped. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go, bye. So I feel like there is a part of like guys that want to be like, oh man, last night, or like they want to text their friends about it. Cause like when I have sex, I'm not immediately like texting my friends about it. I'm trying to convince you to now be my boyfriend and cuddle.
Yeah.
But they right after, they're just like, oh man, I didn't use a condom and she was a virgin. Like they just want it to be like, they want a story, I feel like.
But I feel like, are they like that when you're in your late 20s now? Like, I feel like it's not that cool anymore.
I don't know about the virgin thing, but like there are like achievements, like if they eat your ass, if they do anal, if they like, that's the shit that they want to tell their friends of like, oh, she let me do this, or like she took my semen all over her face. They're definitely not saying semen. Like, she licked the semen from my shaft. She did. No,
those
that
are the guys who go to Renaissance festivals.
But I do. Yes, but I do think, even though I love Renaissance Fair, I do think that it would attract a certain type of fetish, if you will, because I think that there's definitely like a fetish around taking someone's virginity. But I'm praying to God that we find you not a creep. You're moving though, right?
Yeah.
You're going like where you're going where?
I'm going to Wales.
Okay, which is where?
Next to England.
Right. So then maybe we're moving to where we find all those sexy boys.
That's the hope. If I have to spend $50,000 to find a dick, I will.
If I have to travel the seas.
Yeah. My gynecologist goes, well, maybe when you get over there. I was like, Jane, I didn't tell you I wanted to lose my virginity. You're just assuming? She's like, maybe you could find someone for you over in Europe because it's not happening.
She like tap your knee.
Yeah.
It's okay, sweetie.
You've seen my cervix. Can you leave the room now? Yeah.
You've seen my innards. Can you please? Thank you for that. Meanwhile, my gynecologist last time told me that her son wanted to start a YouTube channel, and she's like, I just don't want him to. And I'm like,
you got, how old is he? Send him over.
7, so we're good. But she's
keep
like,
him at home.
Like the fucking pap smear had happened like 15 minutes, and we were just chatting. But I and at first I was like, why is she still talking to me? But then I was like, you know what? Most doctors run in here and run out so fast, but she like cares about me, and I'm like, yes, bitch. I love you, Dr. Courtney. You're the best. I think that's her name.
Mine told me I was pregnant last time I was there because they got my urine mixed up with someone else's. And she said,
and you're like, literally no.
I said, unless it's the second coming of Christ, it's probably not. And I knew I was meant for great things, so it possibly could be.
Oh, like they called you and told you were pregnant
in the room because I was getting my birth control replaced, and she was like, we can't do the procedure today because you're pregnant. And I
you have an IUD?
An implant.
Oh, in the arm?
Yeah, it's like the 3-year implant. Not bad. It's like a matchstick. You don't feel it, and it lasts for 3 years. I feel like an IUD sounds way more intense.
And then they have the commercials where she's like holding the IUD.
He
and she's,
like, it. I'm like, don't snap it in half, lady. I don't think that.
And she's like going to the store, and I'm like, this is not, I don't trust it at all, because then I have all my friends like, oh, I got the IUD, I was keeled over for a month, they wouldn't take it out of me.
That have the IUD, their body like rejected it. They're like, it wasn't put in wrong, my body just said no.
Said bye. I read a terror horror story of some girl took her tampon out and she felt like a really sharp pain, and then she looked at the tampon and the IUD was stuck to it. It was on TikTok. She even showed the IUD.
You can take your own IUD out, in case you didn't know, because when COVID happened and they only did emergency procedures, my sister had to go fish for her IUD out. And she said it doesn't hurt at all.
Okay, that's confusing to me because I got a UTI during COVID, and I called and I was like, hey, I'm pissing blood.
Maybe that's more emergent.
But they were like, you have to come in. And I was like, clearly,
well, they told her to wait, and she didn't want to wait.
Oh,
so she
okay.
did it herself.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
I mean, you have to make sure it doesn't break in half, I guess, but if it comes out in one piece, you're good, apparently. I wouldn't do it.
No, I can't even handle when they put the thing in the eyelash that looks like an eyelash wand. Yeah, what they put in there to do your pap smear. I can't even handle that. So the thought of them
I didn't feel it. Am I crazy?
did she put 2 sticks inside you?
Mm-hmm. One first. I think the brush is first, and then the little like spatula thing is second. But
Yeah.
like, I guess I felt it, but it didn't hurt at all.
But also, if you can get like that and be like, it's a matchstick, because like me, like getting my blood drawn, or like I'm just like a little
area. You don't feel it.
I'm just a little baby bitch. I can't fucking get out of my arms, get out of my face. No.
Oh my God, I'm not scared. I'm not in pain. Just someone somewhere. Come here.
Oh my God. Do you have any other questions?
This has nothing to do with sex.
That's fine. I told you could ask me anything you wanted.
As I'm reading it, how do I be myself without being obnoxious or defensive? That's more for a therapist. But basically, I think when someone is flirting with me, I get super I don't know. I start making fun of them, because it's like, oh, if I make fun of you first, you can't make fun of me, or are you playing a prank on me? Do you actually like me, or what?
I do that too, though, but I feel like it's because my sister and I make fun of each other so much that I think it's normal to literally make fun of everybody's everything.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's me. For instance, I was dating this guy and he had a tattoo and it said 1738. And I was like, man, every time I read that, I get the 1738.
Yeah.
8. And literally every time I saw it. So one day I was just like, what is that? What is that what is that for you? What does it mean? And I was like, because I think of that stupid Fetty Wap song where he's like 1730. And he's like, no, that's what it is. And I was like, you have a fucking Fetty Wap tattoo on your stomach that says 1738? And he was like, yeah, it was just one of those drunk night tattoos and I got it and whatever. So then
he deserved what's coming to him. I care.
Just proceeded to roast him and make fun of him for it. And maybe once a week, yeah. I would be like, remember when you got that Fetty Wap tattoo? Turns out he didn't like that. He was really upset by it.
Okay, but if they don't tell you, how are you supposed to know? If I tell you to stop and you don't stop, that's different than you not saying anything and just letting it boil inside you.
I think I'm just because there was also this other time where I was out at a bar and this guy came up to me and he was talking to me, whatever. And then his friend came up too and he was wearing this bracelet. And it was I was like, what is up with homeboy's bracelet? Because it was just this it was a thick silver cuff. Yeah. And it's just and then they were he was like, I'm from Santa Clarita. And I was like, oh, because I'm from Santa Clarita. And I was like, okay.
What?
Huh? What? No, it's just there's a vibe there. So the second I found that out, I was like, it makes fucking sense. I get it. And then later I said to him, yeah, you and your stupid bracelet. And he was like, this is my dad's. He died last week. And I was like,
yep, I got the same problem. I put my mouth way too much.
So I get it because it's it's like when a guy on the playground used to come and pull my hair, pop my bra strap. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm like, maybe if I make fun of you, you'll know I like you.
Yeah, I do it subconsciously, but I'm like, this must get so annoying. I'm always trying to stay a step ahead so they can't pull one over on me. I don't know why they would.
But it's also just a part of you being witty and funny and a part of your banter. So when you're how do I be not defensive or not myself?
That's the hard part because I'm like, oh my God, female comedians, they're not sexualized at all because they're loud mouths. That's basically the problem.
I think you should always be yourself. And because I used to be because I used to literally cry to my friend Zach and be like, I'm just so loud, I'm just so this, I'm just so that. And he was like, you're gonna find somebody though who loves all of those things about you, and that none of that's gonna matter. And why would you want to change who you are for somebody when then you're not even gonna enjoy yourself because you won't be yourself?
Yeah.
And like I've dated guys where they were like, you're too loud, you're too obnoxious. And I'm like, you're too much of a dick. See you later. Like, this is who I am. This is how it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm at such a transient point in life that I'm like, I'm not trying to settle down right now. Like, I do
Right.
not want a long distance boyfriend and try
Yeah.
to make that happen. Like, that's the problem. I'm like, I am literally looking for hookups right now. Like, I'm not looking for I am a man. I am literally a man right now. And they don't understand that.
I think plan of action. Maybe we test out telling guys on the app that we're not totally interested in. We swipe on a few where we're like, okay, let's just like see what they say, but then and then we'll reconvene, and then but maybe what I would say to do now is just like, because you've decided that you're ready. You're, I don't think, gonna regret it when you do it. So I feel like it would be fine for you to just do it and not tell. Like, it's not like you're having sex and you have herpes and not telling him.
Yeah.
You're just not telling him you're a virgin because you don't want the judgment and this like stigma to come with that. So you're just trying to negate the whole thing, get it over with, and then you're not a virgin anymore. So I feel that. I feel like that's a fine option. Or there's the option of like finding somebody that's like so amazing that you want to give all of yourself to them, because I've like had my slut moments, I've done my whatevers, I've sucked my fair share of dicks, but now I'm like, you have to respect me, you have to date me, you have to like all these things before I like let you inside, because I'm just like over the whole like hookup culture. But
Yeah.
that's just because of the journey I've been on. But
Yeah,
the
like
slut
I
phase
didn't
is
feel
fun.
my oats. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah,
Now
no.
I feel like I've lost out on something. I was like, I don't want to get married and be like, well, I feel like I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
You know, go and have sex with whoever you want. Like, go do your thing. Like my sign off says, suck as much dick as you possibly fucking can, girl. Get out there.
On the flip side, Colton, the Bachelor, about 4 seasons ago, said, remembered the whole thing of he was a 25-year-old virgin, and everyone's like,
Yes.
oh God, Colton. He was like, I've waited this long. I might as well just wait longer till I find someone I love. I'm like, I can kind of see that too.
And like, I feel like, because like I told
I'm not
you,
looking for forever. I just want someone who respects me. That's about it.
and I feel like you can find that. And I
Yeah.
feel like the right guy, like if you were to be dating them and like, let's say you go on like 4 or 5 dates and then you tell them, you're like, hey, listen, I'm a virgin. It's not a thing for me. I'm like looking to get rid of that V card. But like, I don't want you to feel like you can't have sex with me because you're afraid I'm going to instantly get attached, or like that it's going to be this whole thing, because it's not. Like, I've thrown a plastic one in there. It's fine. Like, make you know what I mean? Like, just make them feel more
That I'm not
comfortable about it.
completely innocent.
Like, like, yeah. Or
Not
tell them that
fresh
like
out of church.
you haven't done a lot of stuff and like you want to do it all. You just need to take your time. Like, if you just wanted to start out like going first base, second base, third base, like you don't have to like skip it all. But I think the one thing is that like the only thing that I would think for you to tell them is because like, and I know that you've had a dildo inside of you and stuff, but like, you don't want someone that's just gonna like, where you go out and you get wasted and then you have like sloppy, like he just jams it in really quick and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, what? I should have told, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want that to happen.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So I feel like that's where it might be nice to like date somebody for a while and be like, I like them. Maybe I do want to give it to them.
Yeah.
There's just all these different lanes you could go down.
Well, I thought I got so lucky and I thought this was going to be great. So I met this guy on, you can change your location on Hinge, I think, to wherever without like paying money.
Okay.
I'm not trying to lose money on this. Yeah.
I feel you.
But, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to school over there soon. So I set my location to over in Wales and I met with this guy, or matched with this guy. And he was like super like, yeah, I'm not looking for hookups. And he knew I obviously wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And this was earlier in the year. So I was like, I am coming there eventually, but not for a long time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we quote unquote dated. Let's call it talked. I'm like, I can't say I dated someone I never met. But we like FaceTimed every day. Like he'd call me after work. We'd text all day. Like it was ridiculous. And then I was like, okay, this is perfect. Because now I like have built an emotional relationship with
A
someone
connection.
before it became physical, so now I'll feel comfortable once it becomes physical. Yeah, that didn't work out. He like ghosted me 3 months into this whole thing, and now he's got a new girlfriend. Yeah, he gave me the excuse that because of he lost his job because of COVID, and he was like, I'm just so depressed right now, I can't like do a relationship. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to talk to anyone who that's an excuse. Like, I
Now,
was like, everyone's depressed right now, read the room.
what he was probably doing was he probably had like a girlfriend or something, like not a girlfriend, but somebody else that he was talking
All
to that was
better.
there. Yeah. And then it came to be his girlfriend. So then he was like, well, fuck, now I have this other girl, so I have to lie to her.
Yeah.
A note to all the guys. If you just tell me, like, I actually started dating somebody else, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, blah, 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 I'm not gonna get mad.
Mm-hmm.
But when you make up a bullshit excuse that we can see through, like, just don't. Please just be honest. It hurts so much less if you're just like, or you can even tell me that you're not interested in me.
Yes, because then I'll leave you alone. It's what hurts my feelings is me being like, you still there? You still there?
Yeah, like I'm trying, and it's like, just tell me. If you don't like me, just tell me. It's no big deal. There's 1,000 other fish in the sea. I'm gonna go fishing. I play Animal Crossing. I know how to fish. So,
I'm diving for that dick. Yeah.
oh, I see those bubbles.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know he was dating this girl because I like blocked him on everything, and then I got, sad or whatever 2 months later and was like, I wonder what he's up to. And I looked, and it was like, he just got a relationship. I was like, you look so depressed. So I was petty, and I messaged him and was like, you look really depressed, also wishing the two of you the best. And then he read it, obviously, and didn't say anything. So then I got even more petty and found his ex-girlfriends, and I messaged them, and I was like, hey, just so you know, he's telling girls that you did this to him, so I wonder if that's even true. And this one girl, I only got a hold of one of the three, and then I like stopped talking to the other two. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is not going well because this is sad. But anyway, the girl was like, he told you this? Well, that happened, like, he did that to me. I didn't do that to him. Like, he cheated on me and all this stuff. So he wasn't a good person to begin with. And when I let so much stuff slide, I'm like, oh, well, maybe he did this because of this, and like this was kind of sketchy, but I just let it slide. And then now I'm like, oh my god, no, like,
yeah,
that was a red flag, because if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
it probably is. It's so funny how, like, when we talk to guys, like in the beginning or whatever, like we see the red flags, but they're kind of like pink. Like they're not red. They're like, I see you, but I'll put it back there. And then when we break up, I'm gonna realize that was a red flag. What I'll do.
And then I was like, oh, you're a loser. I made excuses for it because I was lonely. I get it. But now I'm like best friends with his ex-girlfriend. Like in the beginning when he's like my ex, you're like, I hate that bitch. And now I'm like, right? Oh, we're best friends now.
I feel like we should normalize becoming friends with the guy's ex-girlfriends, because if he liked you, he probably liked somebody else who's just like you. And y'all are going to be goddamn best friends. And then you talk to them and you probably find out that everything that they were saying isn't how it actually happened. And you're like, we're just a bunch of girls getting duped by the guy.
That's basically it.
Yeah, so let's normalize becoming friends with our boyfriends, ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I'm like, just because I have not had a penis inside me does not mean I haven't technically dated people or like had any romantic relationships with anyone. Like, I'm not emotionally stunted because of
You can fucking fall in love with somebody and have never had sex with them before.
Have you ever heard of mail order brides? I'm like, don't worry, like it works, I guess. It's like long distance relationships are still emotional relationships. It doesn't have to be physical.
Well, it's the same thing with like emotional cheating. Like I can have a boyfriend and you can be talking to some girl and telling her she's beautiful and like sending her dick pics, and then you can come back to me and be like, but I never slept with her, which happened to me with my ex-boyfriend. And he was like, oh, but I never slept with her. I was like,
oh yeah,
but you're asking for ass shots. Like what? I'm confused.
Did you keep talking to that girl like throughout the whole breakup thing, or was it about that. That
Wait.
girl, the
Oh,
one that you said.
the last guy. No, this is a few
Oh,
exes.
another piece of trash.
Another one. Yeah, another one. No, see now what he's doing is he's talking to her as much as possible to try to get a reaction out of me.
Okay.
Since we've broken up, but it's not working. So yeah,
The
it's
excuse
really,
though originally was we're just friends and she's going through a hard time and I'm helping her, or
yes, the original thing was like she's just going through a hard time. We talk all the time, blah 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 blah. And like she posted something about them getting her order wrong or something, and he's like, God, that sucks so much when that happens. I hate when I order. Oh my, I'm like, why are you talking to this fucking like fan girl that you called
yeah.
her? And it's like,
You didn't grow up together. You're not old friends from school.
you don't
So
have anything for anybody to be a fan of.
Yeah,
So like,
over me, there's feelings
like,
there.
what are you talking about? Advice would you give to other virgins?
Don't let other women tell you you're not enough of a woman because you're a virgin.
Yes. Is that a thing?
I mean, it might just be me projecting. That's the gist. It's like, oh, well, you don't know. You know, that's always like,
Did
well,
any of my questions come across like that?
no.
Oh, thank God. I was like, is she talking about me?
That's the thing. I'm like, ask me a question. Don't assume I have never had an orgasm because I'm a virgin, or that I don't do this because I'm a virgin, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have done everything but those things. Like,
And you want to?
Classy by any means. Like, I took my top off apparently for an hour last week at a wedding. Well, not at the wedding, but
I was gonna be like, wait, how did we not get to this
hotel room at the wedding? I was blacked out, and they're like, "You didn't have a top on for like an hour." I was like, "What did she do again?" Like, I'm not the none.
That's incredible.
But
how many people saw your boobs?
just 3 friends from high school. It was okay.
Just
One
a couple.
of them was a man, but I also saw his ass because he's my friend's boyfriend, and they were having sex in the hallway at the venue. So I walked in on that. So I said, well, I guess we're even now because I've seen your ass.
This wedding sounds lit.
It was great, yeah.
It sounds awesome.
Nebraska, so there was not a lot of nudity naturally.
Fucking love that. You listen to my podcast, so I'm sure you know the 2 questions that are coming next. If you could tell your younger self anything, what would you tell her?
Spend more time working on yourself as being a good person, and don't think that your only worth comes from other people thinking you're worth something. And if I put the energy into worrying about if guys liked me into just being a good person or whatever, education, I would be a lot better off now. And don't listen to your parents.
Don't listen to them.
Unless they're like supportive.
And if you were standing at a podium and you could tell the whole world anything, what would you tell them?
Always be trying to improve yourself. There's always more to learn than you think there is, and be open to other people's ideas.
I need you to be my therapist. After the way you answered these 2 questions, I'm like, you're right. Yes.
And that's on my therapist.
Do you want anybody to follow you on Insta? You can plug stuff if you want to. If you want those hot guys who want to be nice to you and not be a creep about taking your virginity, hit you up.
I have a really stupid TikTok.
Yes.
I call it Hey Alexa, Play One Direction. So if you want to go over there and see some horses and whatnot. No sex. I don't think that's allowed on TikTok.
Let's hope it's not allowed anywhere.
No horse sex. That's what I meant.
Whew. I'm sure Tina Belcher would be available for that. But is that her name? Am I right? Is she the one that likes horses?
Probably, if that's who I think it is.
Yeah. I think so. I think I'm right there. Well, you know what I think I'm gonna do? No, first I'm gonna plug my own shit. If you are watching right now on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, make a comment, tell me your virginity stories. If you've ever jacked off a horse, don't tell me that. I don't want to fucking know unless it was because of your job. And if you have, like, get to therapy if it's not for your job. And also, my patreon.com/littlebabykates. I upload all of my podcasts there early, extra content, videos early, so make sure to come over there and do that. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to see you again next Tuesday. Go out, be the best person you can be, and suck as much dick as you possibly can. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you.